welcome back to the Rants, Bants, and Confessions podcast.
Hi,
It's
guys.
your favorite host, and we have a special guest in the house today, Miss Bam Bam.
Hi, guys.
So, how do you guys feel about being the number one podcast in the country?
I mean, this is something that we did not expect.
Yeah.
You get me?
I feel like we kind of warned everybody. We kept on saying, look out. So you people didn't want to look out.
But now,
and then now
it's like boom. Boom.
Shout out to
And
you
here we are
guys,
again.
though. I think you guys were really bold. I think it was honest, and I
Yeah.
really loved it.
Thank you so much, Bam Bam.
welcome.
So, today's topic is African parenting. How do you
Okay.
feel about African parenting?
I'm currently an African parent. of
Yes.
two.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank
She's
you, baby.
a mother of 2 stunning girls.
Oh my God.
Beautiful.
I'm so
Beautiful
proud.
girls.
And sometimes I'm in denial, like, so I've actually born two human
crazy.
beings.
Come on,
Yeah.
They're gonna grow and be bold and beautiful like this. My goodness.
Oh.
Like, it's actually sometimes a shock moment for me.
Crazy.
Sometimes I feel like I'm having like an outer body experience.
Oh, yeah?
Motherhood is next level.
Right?
There is no manual. There is no blueprints.
Yeah.
You just gotta wing it and figure it out somehow and just trust God.
And do you feel like different children have different demands?
Yes, there is no one way traffic to each child. Their personalities are different.
Yeah.
You can't try to use the exact same pattern for one child with the next. You just have to study the uniqueness of each child and figure it out.
Okay. That's crazy. It's something to know now. So when I have my own now, hey God. That's if I even have my own.
How is
I'm
it for
scared.
you guys? Like,
Growing
what
up.
number are you in the family?
I'm an only child.
Oh my.
Yeah, I'm an only child.
Ah,
The
so that's
I'm the
Pampered.
first. I'm the first daughter.
Hey, serious.
first
You
daughter
didn't
as
know?
well.
Yeah, that's like
Oh,
your
I'm
friend.
actually the first daughter too.
Oh,
So we're all experiments, literally.
Literally, only
Shout
child.
out to the experiments, yeah.
I assumed they were
Wow.
trying to have more after me, but like it just kind of like stopped with me. So like first, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Firstborns are experiments because
Apparently.
you literally have to do what you think your mother did with you.
Wow.
And you just figure it out.
Yeah.
And then the pressure, I don't want to get it wrong. This is a girl. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want you to make same mistakes I made as a child.
Yeah.
But like, I have a question. If you have another one after like a year, does that mean you have 2 experiments?
No, I feel like you've done trial and error with the first one. So it's not like, okay, your successes from the first one, you now implement.
Yeah, then
Yeah,
that makes
okay.
sense actually with it depends on how the spacing happens too.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I want to ask what your relationship like is with your what your relationship is like with your parents for like everybody. So how is your relationship with your mom and dad now? How was it before and how is it now?
Has it changed?
Yes, a lot. Definitely it has changed. I was the first child. My both parents were working parents.
Yeah.
So I literally grew up with nannies for the first, let me say, up till I was 5. Then my mom now resigned and then started trying to pay a lot of attention to me because she saw that the nannies were really taking a piss. Some of them were really abused women that decided to do transfer of aggression with me as a child. So
No,
it
that's
was
a
a
real thing.
mess.
Hmm.
It was a mess. It was very crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, no. My mom became very possessive and really tried to be very, strict. Like, became a bit rebellious because I was
Yeah.
abused when I was
It's giving
younger.
Jesus kid.
Yeah, I swear, I was
feel like
proper-
you're a Jesus kid.
I was proper Jesus kid.
Yeah.
Like, all through, I was... Bible study. I
Ah.
was always championing all the Bible, all those, what do they call them? Is it quiz or what do they call those things we do? Any
I
of you that were
wouldn't know.
church children?
I wouldn't
Okay, you're in
know.
church.
Bible quiz.
All those
dress
quiz, yeah, all those. You know how you go for competition with other
Yeah.
districts
Are you
and stuff?
serious?
Yes, now, what do you mean?
Competition.
Oh, sorry, you
No,
can't
for real.
relate.
I joined
Actually
church like when
can't.
I was a teenager, like willingly. Like
Are
I
you
wasn't. They would never
serious?
impose religion on me as a child. So my mom
Interesting.
was Muslim.
As an only child, I'm actually
So
shocked.
then she
I see
converted. So she always
that.
gave me like it was very
Space.
it was a very very
Yeah.
liberated household. Very
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Aren't you blessed? Me, I started tearing eye at 25 or so.
Are you hey,
Girl,
2-5.
2-5.
Wow. I feel like I feel like my own parenting, like my parents, right? They gave me like this balance, so I was free and I was also not really free. Maybe it's because I went to boarding school in Nigeria. Because I actually went to
I
boarding
did
school in
too.
Nigeria, like from GS1 to like SS3,
Mm.
and like there was freedom. But I don't know why me. I was always afraid. I'm always scared. Anything to say I'll be scared because I ended up being chapel prefect, school president, school. And I'm
Them
not
ones.
please,
Ivy League
take it.
kids.
But at the same time, it's like, you can't really like in as much as you try to give a child balance, like me, I'm talking from like give that child freedom and everything. The child that wants to tear eye will still tear eye.
Word facts on
At the end of the day, no matter how much you try to like, keep the child, oh, don't view this one, don't view that one, no, don't go to this party,
Mine
go to
was
that
even
party.
worse. We're Dipper Life.
Hey.
My
Deeper
dad. Oh
life.
yes, Dipper Life. My dad is now retired military.
Oh.
So when I mean guarded, shielded, we don't sleep over at cousins, not to talk of
Wow.
friends'
Them
houses. We didn't
ones.
have TV in my house. When I mean guarded, like I was that child, like my neighbor, we are hearing them watching all those soap operas. We'll be climbing fence to try and hear or see
You
what is going
serious?
Do you know
on.
what? Do you know what's crazy? I
Girl.
kind of want you to share like your very first party experience, like the very first time you snuck out for like a party or
Do
something
you
like
know
that.
the crazy thing? Valid question. We were diplomats in Paris, France for 3 years, 2003, 2006. So I was in, what was those French classes? Anyway, it was like the version of SS1 here.
Mhm.
And there was a party that one guy in our class was doing his birthday, and I had begged my dad. I think my mom went for vigil or something. I said, Dad, please, I've never been to a party. I'm 16 probably or 15. And I was like, please, I would really like to go for a party. If you can drop me off and then come pick me up. And daddy agreed.
Hey.
For real?
See, that was, as you asked that question, I just had like a flashback
Yeah.
to that moment because it was at a club. Imagine a French club.
Wow.
And that was the first time I smoked chocolate flavored cigarette.
Did your dad know?
Hey.
How?
But now he knows if he watches
He don't.
this video.
Nah, if he watches it, he's going,
Hi,
no,
Dad.
no. Hi, Dad. Pierce, I've had 2 kids, so you can't,
Wow.
So that was like my first time stepping out to a club, proper club in France. And I experienced chocolate flavored cigarette. I experienced alcohol for the first time, actually.
Wow.
But then it started to get really heated and some guys were really trying to push up on me. And I think I was the only black in my class. So
There's
I had to
that.
just say, Daddy, I think it's getting awkward. Can you come pick me, please?
Daddy, I want to go home.
I want to go home.
Can you imagine?
So he picked me up at midnight. Yeah.
So
Crazy.
They even give you till midnight.
So the
That's-
party started like 8, 9.
Oh,
ish.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
Did
enough.
you ever-
Nigerian home curfew 6
Curfew,
o'clock. Come
yeah, that's
back,
what I want to
sleep
ask. Did
outside.
you ever get in that kind of situation where your parents had to spank you?
Spank.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
father used to throw shoe at me or pluck wire anywhere he
Oh,
sees it.
no.
I was beaten well.
Even your mom?
Auntie, as my mother is doing like this, my father, as I'm running to my father is.
Okay,
Are
but
you
what are your
serious?
own views on
Yeah.
discipline?
Spanking,
How
would
do
you
you
do the
feel about
to your
that?
kids?
I smack my baby. She step out. I would say this is the naughty stick. If you misbehave, I'm gonna give you 2. If you do more than that, I give you 3. Do you want mommy to spank you? Because I've done it once or twice. She's saying no, mommy, but not to the point where I'm scarring
Yeah.
her or anything.
Yeah.
But it's important. The Bible even says they spare the word, spoil the child.
But
But did they
yeah.
mean it so
Do they-
literally though?
So the thing is, in my case, my mom was almost like abuse because
No, I feel you. Trust me, I
well,
understand
it
that.
was like abuse because I don't know what it was. I had to ask if my parents adopted me. It was hardcore.
Yeah.
What?
Imagine.
So do you feel
I-
like it's not possible to raise them without spanking?
Some people have successfully done
Yeah,
it. I
yeah.
don't think I can raise
Like,
my
for
child
instance, now,
without
'cause
spanking
That
her.
question I asked kind of like I can relate to it a little bit because my parents they would rather speak to you and their words are like swords. Like, oh my God, I would rather my father should beat me than than for him to call me stupid.
I never believed this
But
statement.
here's the thing.
Hey, stupid.
Beating is
Just call me like
painful.
So my
stupid or
parents
something.
never verbally abused.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
verbal abuse, physical
Yeah.
abuse, to me it's all abuse. I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
punishments can come in various forms, but importantly, discipline a child, you need to first explain to them. Another thing African parents hate to do is explain themselves. So they would rather eat
Yes.
sand than explain
Yeah.
to you, I
Yeah.
don't want you doing
So-
this and this is why.
This is why.
Because children are understanding. You need to give them more
True.
credit.
So the thing is, the level of discipline my parents did to me was instill fear, and it made me really guarded, and I didn't know. Sometimes I don't know if it was because
Yeah.
of how disciplined they were that I was just not that kind of child who, even though after I left home after NYSC, I know just too tear eye to the point where I was just useless. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But it kind of curtailed me. My mom was very spiritual and religious. My dad was very strict. Both of them found a way to just be really brutal with the beating, right? I will never, God help me, never have to brutalize my kids the way I was in the name of discipline, right?
Yeah.
But I actually speak with Zen. I talk to her. And you may be amazed that even though like she's just gonna be 3, my first daughter, my second is just going to be 1.
Yeah.
Zendaya understands when I'm like,
Yeah.
sweetie, that was not nice. You got mommy really upset and I don't want to have to hit you. Don't get me angry enough to want to hit you. Do you like when mommy hits you? She says no. Mommy too doesn't like when she hits you, so don't do that.
Yeah,
Such
I
an
feel like it's
obedient
so
child.
important for parents that still spank to make the children understand that they don't enjoy spanking them.
Spanking,
Because some
yeah.
parents make it seem almost like it's something they use to like let off steam.
Yeah.
No, I'm
But
serious.
yeah, true.
But
Jesus.
I feel like in many
You
households,
need to communicate that.
parents have found a way to transfer aggression from their daily
Yes.
Now
life
that's
onto their children
like you
in the
remember
name of discipline, like you
we
said.
were talking about it earlier
Yeah,
about
we
trauma
were.
driven.
Trauma-driven responses, trauma-driven behaviors. I feel like many parents
Yeah.
take up the frustration from having to. For example, like I will give you a personal experience. I feel like my childhood, it was like a lot of frustration from being a single parent, having to fend for a child all by yourself, and a lot of things were like based off of frustration. So I'm now that
Yes.
I'm older, I don't necessarily like blame her. I'm more understanding about some like the anger and frustration. But at the same time, I think that a lot of parents worldwide are like they have trauma-driven actions. Like most of the things they're doing are not out of looking for the child's best
Yeah,
interest.
because my mom always says something. She'll say, if you're going to spank a child, spank them with the left hand and then bring them closer with the
My
right
mom
hand.
did that actually.
Yeah, and I think that also helps too. So it
My
doesn't,
mom
like,
did that when Jesus. I
Flashbacks.
remember like they're
Flashbacks.
so clear. We lived in a Papa.
lived in
Number
Apapa.
1A, house 3, Hindra Road, Papa. I cannot forget moments from that house. My God. I remember going to the backyard one day after my mother has finished me.
Wow.
And I stood and looked at the sky. I said, Father,
Oh no.
I need to meet my real parents.
Oh my
How did I end up in the allow me home? How did I end up here?
I'm so
Is it-
sorry.
I now looked at she said, I'm
Because
so
like
sorry.
I know that feeling when you start
I
to
now
doubt.
looked at the
It's
ground.
such a
that
common
they're your
feeling.
parents.
Yeah.
Darling. So we
Yeah.
had I don't know if you guys know these fruits that they used to stone to pluck.
Yeah.
They call it fruits. It's like
yeah.
almonds. I think it's the ones that they're almonds are gotten out of. I said, so if one day she beats me and it's my dead body, it's under this tree they will bury me. I
Oh
cannot
my
forget
God.
feeling so much misery from just like even though that day school starts at 8. My father expects us to be up at 6, so we'll do devotion, do all of that. Myself and my younger brother overslept. I now jumped up. I remember how I jumped up around to the bathroom. I was still pouring water on my body, washing. My father just got that cane. Finished me. I bled. Oh.
You bled?
Like this, like I could.
So that means you probably still have scars.
No, baby, my skin healed good.
Her skin good.
Because like
Yeah,
the scars
good.
will not be nice because they will remind you too much.
Yeah, I know someone who still has scars from his
traumatized
childhood,
me.
and every time he sees it, he remembers what
Yeah.
he did and what made his mother. She was so upset at him. He broke plates. and she was so upset at him, and she
I feel like
picked
it's
up.
not the plate.
It's not the plate that's your problem.
my issue.
It's not the plate that's your
you're
problem.
letting
how they
off.
struggle
like,
to
you
get the money
understand
to buy
him
the
and
plate.
cut his hand.
That's the thing. How they
And that's
struggle
not healthy.
to
She
get the
still
money
had to carry
buy
him
It's
to
not
the
healthy.
hospital.
And you see
And then he fell. And this
Because
guy
by the
was-
time the children get older, they
he
start
was
realizing
looking
it's
at
not
his
the
mother
plate.
like,
Do you understand?
He wanted to tell the doctor that no, she bit me. That's why I have that. And the scar is still very vivid on his hand.
I feel
so-
like, this is,
traumatizing.
we're speaking about something that's a little bit funny, but
But
like,
it's not
I remember
funny,
like just
actually.
being a child and knowing other children that wanted to end it all because of how hard it was at home.
Yeah.
It was just so hard.
This generation, I think we've had enough trauma. Let it end with us, please. Young
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
There are better ways to communicate that doesn't result to physical
Is it
abuse.
going to end with us though? Because I feel like every child is unpacking whatever they've learned throughout their
Would
entire
you spank
adulthood.
your
Yeah, that's
child?
would you
I know
Would
I
you
wouldn't
spank your
do
child?
that.
I don't think so.
I will spank
Would
my
you
kids.
spank your child?
I will discipline my kids, but I wouldn't
So how do you plan on
traumatize them.
disciplining
Yes.
them? Like, how do you plan on disciplining your kids
I
if you
feel
don't
like
intend to spank them?
I'll probably what she
There
said.
are other
I'll
forms
probably
of
tell
punishments.
You,
I believe in, like, how there was always detention. You see why like prison is so like,
I was about
I
to say
believe that
something.
prison works when you have when you're isolated for long enough to think about your actions, and you're given time to process like what led you to do what you did, why you should not be doing these things. I used to write letters as a child. I used to write apology letters. I used to, I used to think about these things, and it lets me understand why I should not be doing them in the first place.
Yeah.
Like you said, when you ask your child, do you like seeing mommy happy? Like you think about it, even with like your little baby brain, you're like, I don't want this person to be obsessed. I should refrain from doing these things. And something I picked up that you said also is how like, you were brought up with fear.
Yes.
And have you noticed that the things that people are taught as children, they project as adults? Because when you interact with adults today
true.
and there's a disagreement and they want to punish you, have you noticed that they tend to want to instill like shame or fear in you? It happens a lot, especially with men and women. So it's like, because they've been taught that, when you do something wrong, mommy
That's
will
true.
embarrass
That's-
you,
oh my God,
they'll shame
word.
you.
Shame you.
So
yeah.
now,
That's true.
especially as a woman, they're quick to be like ashao, because they're looking to like
intimidate
you.
you.
They're looking to instill fear. Why is that? Because as children, they were taught all along that, you do something wrong,
You should be insulted.
You should be
Like my
insulted.
dad
Don't be
always said
afraid.
things like, "Don't ever throw your dirty linen in public." Always. So we were brought up to be put together at all times. Now unconsciously, I'm a perfectionist. See, my the OCD I feel I'm exhibiting is not the type where if you shift something, I'll be nervous, but it just has to be done right. It just has to look the way it is in my head. It has to sound like that. It has to smell like that. It has to taste like that. And until it's done right, I'm not
keep doing it.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because I have been programmed from my childhood to not mess up in public, to not project the wrong thing, to not. So the moments I slip up, I'm so hard on myself because I feel like, why would you go below your standard? Why would you? And I'm there beating myself, and the person that
So
maybe
it's
I'm
like
trying to
you
impress
now
is
treat yourself the way they would have reacted towards you when they're not there.
That's
Trauma-driven
Trauma-driven.
responses.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that a lot of times you do not understand the effect of your parenting. So you have to tell yourself, do I want to raise a happy child or do I want to raise a
child
scared
like me.
child?
A child like me. And so another thing under the same topic of trauma responses, have you ever found yourself in like a self-sabotaging situation and you realize that you're reflecting or you're projecting to something that's happened to you as a child?
Like what I just said.
Yeah.
That is like self-sabotage.
Okay, what about like in relationships, for example? Because that's another one that like I would love to speak on. A lot of men and women, their behavioral patterns in relationships says a lot about the way. You know how they say,
Childhood.
daddy issues, mommy
I
issues.
definitely had daddy issues.
Really?
Girl.
Okay, so in what way did it project in a relationship? Feel free.
Funny
It's a safe
enough,
space.
Funny enough, I didn't date much, but I realized that there was a kind of men that I was drawn to. So my dad is a symbol of protection, retired military, then him in the white uniform. So I just noticed that, and he was emotionally unavailable. He was physically unavailable because he had to work and provide and cater to the family. Most of the guys I dated were emotionally unavailable. They were probably absentee men, and I'm feeling traumatized that
Re-traumatized.
the men are not available.
Mommy, you
But
put
then
yourself
meanwhile,
there.
I put myself in
Yeah.
that situation. So I'm now realizing that this was way before Big Brother and all of that. I just realized that, you know what, I think I'm just done with dating for now, because I don't think I can't say I was lucky with dating at the time. Because the men were just everything that I didn't want.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you keep finding yourself in situations that you shouldn't be in because of the trauma you've experienced.
That's exactly what
I feel like the
is.
first step into releasing yourself from,
Realization.
is realization. So in order not to re-traumatize yourself, because same thing, like even in high school, it was so telling. Even in high school, the kind of boys I would have crushes on were always the ones that were so obviously
for you.
bad for you. Like, what were
Yeah.
you thinking,
And
Lydia?
I was always be with this person, but like,
Do you
why am I
understand? We had
drawn to
nothing
them?
to even talk about. Like, I was always not always, but like when I entered senior high school, I was the prefect, the one that was more focused on education, planning school events. So why are you different? Like, what you
bring
You know what they say? Opposite poles attract.
It doesn't really add
So
up.
I've realized them. I'm still doing therapy. Girls, everyone in Nigeria, like she said earlier, we all need to do maybe
Just broadcasting at 5
live
p.m.
streams.
Everybody,
All these
therapy session.
stations on television, at a certain time, they just stop the entertainment.
said.
Yes.
Therapy for
Therapy for
everybody.
everybody.
Everybody should
Tune
love
in.
See, and Nigerians, we all need therapy, because if you do not heal, you're just gonna keep scarring
But I
everyone.
feel like
you
the
come
very
Bleeding on
first step
others.
to even therapy is like accepting that you're traumatized. How many people want to accept
Accept
that
that
they're
they-
traumatized?
that they even need help in the
Because
first
you mentioned
place.
therapy, so people, you know the way
But
we've
therapy
been
doesn't-
conformed to think about therapy, like, oh, you're going for therapy, that means you have a problem. Do you
Not
understand?
everyone
But
knows
therapy
that.
doesn't really just
That.
mean meeting a psychologist.
No.
It doesn't necessarily
It's
mean
just the
So
first step
when
to healing.
therapy,
Yes, it's just a
there
step
are
to healing.
psychologists, there
Yes.
are
People always
there are
assume
therapists,
that.
there are counselors, there are
Yeah.
mentors, there are if you
No,
if it's your
psychiatrist doesn't want you know.
you guys should stop it. But the thing is, you need somebody to, like she said, unpack the
Yeah.
things that you feel are insecurities, fears. Sometimes fear of the unknown is what is traumatizing a lot of people. I don't want to miss it. I don't want the child to be spoiled. I don't want this.
Yeah,
So
because-
your fears are
Yes.
even driving you to keep doing the wrong thing, and you're scarring those children in the process.
But those fears are
some are
valid.
valid and some are not. Some are
Yeah.
just the enemy whispering lies into your
So when is there too
Hallelujah.
much freedom? When is there too much freedom?
Yeah.
What do you mean by too much
Like when are they
freedom?
now letting you do too many things? Like when are they now like letting you go far? Like
You mean in parenting?
Yeah.
So now, like I said, you can't know it all. There are books to read. There are people to ask questions.
yeah.
Find families or couples that have already, like I have at least 3 families that have had children, that are still married, that are godly, that are everything I want to be and more, that I can seek counsel from.
Yeah.
I don't ever think that I
It takes
know
a
it all.
village.
It takes a village, and the right village, Biko.
True, the right village, very
Some people say
important.
2 good heads are better
Please.
than one. Do you understand? So there is never too much freedom. You can't just leave a child to wander.
Yeah.
Number one, first thing, make your child your best friend. Let them know that you first before anybody. Like I saw online, I follow some parenting sites as well on Instagram. I'm someone that never stops researching on the things that apply to
very
my
good.
life.
Because your child just never
right?
stops growing.
Yeah.
That's a
So
good habit.
it's important that you're constantly feeding your mind with
Yeah.
things that a lot of people think they know it all. You never know it all.
Yep.
The lady said, don't teach your children. So there are things like, don't go with strangers, don't talk to strangers, don't do this, don't do. Instead, teach them strange behaviors. I don't know if anybody saw that today on the internet. Strange behaviors, like someone say, come, don't tell mommy and daddy, okay? Let's go out. Don't tell mommy and daddy. This is between you and I. Your child should never feel comfortable talking to a stranger
More than they speak
to you. That's a lot of things that some of us, my age range, had fears of. because we got so scared of our parents that we could not be honest with them about a lot of things that plagued us, that made us trust the wrong people, that they eventually took advantage of us, right? So I know that I will not let my child be in a place or in a space where she's too afraid to talk to me.
So would you say like the abuse made room for a lot of like other like predators and pedophiles take advantage of?
Yes.
Because that's basically
because when they
don't,
when
they
you
know
haven't created
that
a
your
safe
parents
space
are not
for your children. When you haven't created a safe space for your
Yeah.
children, like she said, they will seek the wrong kind of counsel.
And
they'll
that's why
seek
it's
the
always
wrong kind
close
of-
relatives. It's never really
It's
people
never
so
really
far
people
away.
so far away.
Which is so sad.
Because they know they pick the victims.
They pick the victims. Because when you see a child
see
that is very
signs.
vocal,
Yeah.
They
a child-
recognize patterns that they went through in those. This is
Exact-
exactly the place I was.
Oh my
let me see how I can-"
Jesus.
That's scary.
Which is
People are
rather
sick.
unfortunate. So like parents rather out there, that like there's so many predators near and far. They know the right time for forehead.
Yeah.
But like, so just create a safe environment for your children to be vocal. It's important that even children are vocal about their fears and their concerns. So it's just creates that environment where they're not scared of you. They
No
respect you,
matter how-
but they're not scared enough to tell you that, yo, mommy, daddy, this
Because
is what
that's
is.
actually very good,
No
because I realize that
matter
a
how
lot of
busy
kids
you
are
are.
actually scared to open up to their parents.
And
Yeah.
it's like, it
or
goes far
just
beyond.
tell them what they're going through.
No matter how busy you are as a parent, no matter. Even if it's once a week, even if you're not in Nigeria, let there be a mommy daughter, mommy son, daddy daughter, daddy son moment that they look forward to, even if it's at the end of the week, if it's on a Sunday evening, they know that day is you and them bonding time, and they can unpack how their week went, how their day went. If you're a stay-home parent, let it be every evening before bedtime. You guys everyone's had dinner, you've had a bath, and you're just chilling. There has to be bonding time that the children look forward to. You're creating a culture of subliminally letting them know that they're safe with you, because you can't suddenly just come out of nowhere. Tell me what
And
is
say
going
you're
on.
safe.
Yes,
after hitting me,
After doing
hitting my head on the
dirty,
wall, you're like, you can't talk
That's
to me.
you can talk to me.
Yeah.
No,
How?
I can't.
So the video that we were shown earlier today, where the woman recorded her father, eating her food, and she was like, "Look at this man,
Yeah.
eating my food after being up."
An
I'm not supposed to be
absentee
laughing,
father.
but the guy was really going in on that
What
food.
if she poisoned him? Man?
Hey.
And she wouldn't have posted it. But like, she was like, "Look at him eating my food after never being around," and it's like. It's funny but it's not. But I understand that, like, I use humor as a sense of like, it's a coping mechanism of mine. So I have it. Like, my father was absent.
Yeah.
My father was absent all my life to date. But I can just imagine, like, she's still feeding him. I would let you starve. She's still feeding him.
Oh my God, Lydia.
And but she's making jokes about it. And I'm like, she's still a bigger person than most of us, because he's still eating. I'm assuming he's still under her care.
But if he sees it, what's she gonna do? Say, but well, Dad.
And she did it with her chest. Because even when people were like, "That's your father," she was like, "Father, we know pay." Like, he didn't care if I went to school. He didn't care if I ate as a child. She put it there for everybody. So I think that
traumatizing.
she does not care if
that's her healing, actually.
Yeah,
For
I feel
you
like-
to even see any form of trauma or pain that you go through, the moment you can talk about
Yeah.
it, that's a huge step in healing.
Apparently.
even if you use
Yeah.
jokes, like some of us, to go.
That means for her to actually put it out there, she's actually getting over it.
So like, but what about the so how was your response to your dad being absent in your family? Like, how did you
Jesus.
react to that?
Why did you direct yourself? Ask the other people in this podcast. I'm not yet sure.
It's how she just went
Oh my God. Ask her.
I
It's your name, my father. Don't leave.
Okay, let me just pass the question around. Okay, so basically, I wouldn't say my parents were absent, or my dad. You said your dad, right? My dad was absent. Why?
Yeah.
Because I kind of like understood, and this is because my mom made me understand that, okay, he's not around. Because my dad he works trying to remember what he used to work. He used to work at customs, right? And they always like place them at different areas.
Oh,
Like,
That was
in,
okay.
like
similar to
they
my
could
dad.
be-
My dad was
yeah,
Navy.
Yeah, they could be somewhere today, and then they have to be there for about 3 years, and then that kind of thing. So, but she made me understand, because first of all, it was just I and my brother before my other siblings came. So she made me understand that okay, this is why he's always not around, because he has to work and he has
that's
to
really
do all
nice.
of
That's
that. Do you understand?
mature.
So growing up, I didn't say it as he was absent. I saw it as okay, he has to work, he has to do this, and when he comes back, because when he comes back, he brings stuff for us, and it's like like he just came back. I mean, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm expecting you to go again because I'm kind of like used to you leaving, but
never
not like
being
in a bad
around.
way, like you're never going to come back again. But because I understand that okay, you're caring for the family and you're working and all of that stuff. So
Do you think it made you had daddy issues?
I don't think so. I just feel like it just kind of made my expectations different, right? Because how we always see our dads as okay, or how I saw my dad, like okay, yeah, he's strong. I want like a man like this who's always like who can provide and all of that stuff. So because me personally, I don't think I'll be able to like be with somebody who's just like lazy. Do you understand? Like, cause me, I'm not lazy myself. So like being with somebody who is lazy is just like we're not going to
Get along.
get
No
along well.
compatibility.
It's not going to be. We're not going to be compatible.
So now that's the difference. Some mothers will nag. So the children just know
They
that
grow
is,
resentment for them.
they grow resentment. Also depending on how maybe your mom and dad had a great relationship, so it was easy, or she was just really mature about it.
That's amazing because
Yeah.
I know of so many kudos to your mom, by the way. That's amazing. Like I said, I know so many mothers who don't take the initiative to in their
Educate
father's
the
absence.
children.
They don't take the initiative to be like, okay, I want you to think highly of your father, whether or not he's here.
Yeah.
And it has to do with whether or not the dad works or whether they're separated or not together. I want you to think highly of your father, even though he's not here right now. A lot
That
of parents are like
protects
that.
the mind of the child.
Yes,
That
Sometimes I
protects
feel like
a
it's
lot
does.
the
I feel
mind
like
of the
it's
child.
something where some moms might do this thing where they try to use their children as a weapon.
Ammunition.
And it's very unhealthy because it just leads to like your children fighting battles that have nothing to do with them.
Child, not
Absolutely
bullets.
And then they end up being traumatized.
And then the child will end up hating the father.
The child will end up
Exactly.
hating one parent because the other parent has not instilled the right values in them, has
Yeah.
not
That makes
protected
so
this
much
child's
sense.
image. It happens so often in Nigeria that I realized you people, like, not you people, I'm Nigerian too. When I say you people, I meant like the parents. You people use your children as ammunition. When you're having problems with your husband,
You come and tell the child, and then the
to
child start
paint
looking at
his
the dad
to
different.
paint him a certain way. Yeah.
No, parents. One thing I had to do growing up is forgive my parents, because I realized that like when being born as a child, you tend to see your parents as like these like godlike figures, right?
Yeah.
You fail to see them as what they are, human beings. And like you said, how they like experiments, trial and error. As funny as it sounds, like a lot of parents still don't know what they're doing. But we had such high expectations, right? And we just like, because we didn't see them as human beings, our expectations were not met, and we're disappointed, we hate them. But once you think about that, but there's no manual on how to be a single mother.
There is no blueprint. There's
There's
no
no
manual.
blueprint.
Single
parent,
mom, single dad,
exactly.
couple, separated, divorced. There is
even
no
a
manual.
parent's
There's
full
no
stop.
blueprint. Just put it in your mind that it is my prerogative
Yeah.
to raise a happy child. Because whether you like it or not, all of us this is a generation.
Right.
We are the ones that are making up the population in Nigeria and in the world. How do we plan to raise a generation that is going to give back and create a future that is habitable for the next generation to come? If your mindset is long-term as a parent, if your mindset is really futuristic as a parent, it is important to raise a good wife. It is important to raise a good husband. It's important to raise good citizens of the nation. If that is your objective, it will kind of just navigate how. Secondly, or first of all, actually, it's supposed to be the first point. You do not go into a book to say, I want a child. I want this child. I want this child to come with this skin or with these things.
That's true.
biology can do it,
Yeah.
but you never really know. So first of all, that just tells you that children are truly a gift from God. God sent them on a mission to this earth and chose you as a portal to bring them first. So it is important to also go back to him to ask for the manual on how to raise the children.
Yeah, that leads me to asking you a question though. Do you feel like the child or the parents, right, are entitled to the child's pocket when they grow older? Do you?
That was so direct. But I would like to finish the point about children being sent by God, then I would answer that question. Because if we understand that truly, according to the word, we are like arrows. Apparently, God sent us here to really do great stuff in the earth. So it's just like a car or anything you buy, it comes with a manual. So the manual to raise every child is really in the hands of God, even down to the diet of the child and even down to what the child would do in life. You need to seek God's permission and direction as opposed to coming to superimpose what you feel is best for that child. It's never about what you think. Because a lot of time, because maybe I failed as a medical doctor, it is important that there's a doctor in this family. That's usually the mindset. It's important that there is an airport. So because I say an air, what do they call air hostess or the ones that fly the plane? Pilot. Thank you, brain freeze for that moment. So sometimes because of that, you superimpose your own wishes on the child, and then a whole generation is stunted because maybe what that child was meant to be was maybe, let me say, a chef.
Yeah.
And a particular recipe that could have maybe healed cancer or healed something.
Truly, how crazy
suddenly is no longer accessible because a mother or a father or a parent got selfish in the upbringing of that child.
I saw something.
Some people don't think that deep. So it's important to really seek God's opinion concerning every child.
That's true.
But my daughter, I'm really heading somewhere with this point. When I was pregnant with Zendaya, I had a lot of dreams about her, even down to what she should eat. And without forcing it, she loves fruits. I put fruits, cake, candy, all these things on the table. She will go to the fruit first. First, it will look like, was I imagining that this is how my child would be? But truly in the dreams, I realized that the child would prefer fruits. The child would love to dance. The child would love to do certain things. Because I read it somewhere and I started to inquire from God what the destiny of that child was. And truly, my daughter loves music. She's always dancing. Whether you put music or not, she can just stand up and start dancing. Do I know maybe she's growing up to be a dancer or an actor or a musician? So I'm just like, Lord, let your will be done. And I will just watch and navigate her according to destiny. Not because I think she's pretty, she'll make a model. Or because I think she's smart, she will make a medical doctor. I'm not going to assume over that child, but really seek God's opinion concerning the child.
Such good parenting right here.
Very good. I was about to say very healthy. You're just creating like a healthy environment for that girl. And she's going to thank you so much when she grows older.
Amen.
Because not a lot of
Jesus.
Nigerian parents would create that healthy environment for their kids.
So down to the question you asked me. I don't think anybody in life is entitled to anything, but...
Please say louder, one more time.
Wait. I do not think anybody should feel entitled to anything in life.
Yeah.
But the word of God says, honor thy father and thy mother. And if you Google what honor means, honor, one of the steps of honoring is giving. So now, from that point of view, you should give as a form of honor to your parents. But whereby you do not have to give.
Don't go kill yourself.
It's not an opportunity to sell your kidney.
So I do all that.
Cater to anybody.
But we're saying this now, but like a lot of parents put pressure on their
They feel
children.
entitled.
They feel entitled. And honestly, I understand where the entitlement comes from. It comes from A, the sacrifices
I
they've
suffered
made.
for you when I was a child.
B,
when you were a child.
Nigeria is very, unfair to the elderly.
Yeah.
A lot of countries like take care of retired people, but this country does not. Well enough anyway. So they look to their children, and unfortunately for you, if you're like the first child or only only child. Like, you can imagine the pressure, right? But some parents I've seen the understanding, but some I've seen the amount of pressure they put on their children.
Yeah.
It is actually, we are like, parents today,
So
calm
even
down.
for some, like especially young, newly married, I mean, you're just really navigating through
Your own
life
life.
and really trying to figure things out, and you haven't figured it out yet, and then you're trying to guilt trip your child. It's different if the child has it and is choosing not to be of help where help is needed.
That's a bit mean.
It's actually should be I would use the word duty, because it's not like you can go back or move into your parents' house, or
Yeah.
some people are not comfortable with bringing their parents to live with them yet, especially when they're still trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
The best way to say, I still see you, I still respect you, I still honor you, is to give,
Just
right?
give, yeah.
But let it be when you can. But when you don't have, let them know, Mommy,
them
I would have loved to
understand.
help now, but truly I do not have. That's just my own opinion on that.
Yeah. Oh.
I pray our parents are understanding in their
Very
old
good.
age.
Amen.
Okay, so that brings me to the story. Did anybody see this story of where the guy was cut off from his family by his dad because he chose to be a carpenter instead of a
The one
doctor?
on Brekete family, oh my
Yeah.
God, that was really sad. So apparently the father wanted him to be a medical doctor, and he chose not to do medicine but to go learn. I don't even know if he even finished school.
Oh.
He now went and studied and became a really good carpenter, and has an amazing and a huge workshop where he even trains boys. I think there were some boys that wanted to do yahoo yahoo. They thought that he was making money from G. And he told the guy, no, that come, let me teach you what I do. And now he has even
Oh, wow.
set the guy up, and he has opened his own furniture space where he's now supplying the guy. Like, he has empowered a lot of young people. That's the destiny right there. That's where the parents missed
I feel
it.
like this same thing even happened to me.
Oh my
'Cause
God.
my
Let me
mom-
just round up the story.
Yeah.
He actually now called in to try to tell his father, because the father blocked him, cut him off completely. So
Because he didn't.
so Honorable Ahmed, or so I think that's what they call the man, tried calling his father to tell him that he was telling Honorable Ahmed that, please, I want you guys to help me beg my dad
For real.
that I'm doing well, that he should not be disappointed, that even though he cut me off, tell my dad I'm making him proud. I'm setting boys up. I'm taking boys off the streets. Boys who wanted to be armed robbers, gang members, G boys, are now
He's
doing
fulfilling
well.
destiny.
I'm fulfilling purpose. I'm helping lives, and I'm wealthy. I want to be able to be a part of your life. And they couldn't reach his dad, but then it was his sister that called, that they reached, and she was crying. Honorable Ahmed was crying. The guy was crying. Everyone was so emotional.
Oh my God.
Fathers, please don't cut your sons off. I also saw a video like that 40 years after. The wife now found his dad to reconnect them. They both were weeping because the void the father created in his life cannot be replaced. So apparently, according to statistics, single dads raise better children than even single moms. Yes, according to statistics. So that's what I saw in the Entitlement. Because for fathers, they're I don't know, maybe because they're not having, we women, we have our hormones, our mood swings.
Do you know what I think?
All of these things.
If I may, I don't think it's necessarily about hormones or whatever. I think that fathers are often, not always, but I think fathers often do better as individuals. So they have better jobs and they have better places in society. So they'll be able to take care of a child better. Coming from a household raised by a single mom, she struggled a lot to find her place in society because she was a woman, because she was doing it by herself, because of stigmatization and discrimination. So I think that valid points. I'm sure fathers raise better children alone, but I think because they have the help of society. That's just, by the
Well,
way, I digress.
That could make sense. You were trying to make a point earlier.
Oh no, I was
It
talking
happened
about
to you.
yeah, that experience. I feel like there's this obsession with certain courses in school that parents specifically want their children to study. It's not even a wide range of options. It's just like specifically lawyer, doctor, engineer, call them we know
Architect.
architects. They're specific, and it's like
Yeah.
it's not a lot of options. And sometimes growing up as kids, we want to be everything. So we might have said, "Oh, I don't mind being an architect, and I'm
They
older
now hold you
now."
on to something you
I
said
said
as a
when I was a
5-year-old.
kid, yes, and it's like it's a very toxic habit because you're trying to make it look like it's my dream, but it's not my dream.
It's yours. You're
It's yours.
projecting.
Talk,
Yeah.
girl.
So I feel like it's a very unhealthy behavior to try to force your children to live out your dreams.
Please
If you have
stop.
kids, they are individuals of their own. So allow them to express their own individuality over time. Because I don't think there's any job that is unworthy.
Cutthroat.
Yeah. Because if you're doing decent work for decent money, I don't
If
think
you're
it's
fulfilling
unworthy.
purpose and destiny,
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
So
aside.
it's a very
Parents
unhealthy, and it's
should
popular. A lot
just
of parents, as
stop.
we speak, are pressuring their children to do things they don't want to do to satisfy the child that they were when they were younger.
That's
So
the
it's a very
trauma
unhealthy.
driven.
Trauma-driven
It's a very unhealthy
actions.
behavior.
So there's a lot to unpack from what you said, but something I picked up on was, you can't feel the void.
Mhm.
And I felt that. So what do you think are the roles of like fathers and mothers? Because we're used to the roles that society has dictated: caregiver, provider, but we've seen how toxic that can be.
Yeah.
If you limit a father and you make him expressionless, we've seen how, they've created emotionally unavailable men. So what do you personally think are the roles that a father and a
That
mother
hit
should have?
home. Emotionally unavailable
Unavailable.
men.
Yeah.
First point, mommy and daddy. A woman, that specific a woman, she must be a good wife. She must learn how to cook. She must learn how to clean. She must learn how to care for. So you just focus on developing the capacity of the girl child. And then the boy, he's a boy, just leave him.
He'll cope, he'll survive.
He's okay. Woman will take care of him in the future. That's how you are spoiling and developing toxic men. The same way you invest in developing capacity in a girl child should be the same exact thing you do for the male child, first of all. To answer your question, I believe in God. I believe
Hallelujah.
in nature. I believe that the way God created the balance of life, nobody should come for me.
No, your beliefs are welcome.
The
They do usually
balance
come for us
in
here,
life
but to be okay.
was deliberate. And anybody trying to alter that would only raise emotionally unbalanced human beings that eventually become problems in society. You may not be able to particularly define that because the dad does this is why the child eventually becomes this way, or because the mother does this. God said it's not good for man to be alone. I will create a helpmeet for him. And he decided to go into the rib of man. By the way, women were... So I don't know the iPhone grade that is existing now. The men are the one that was the former. We are the one that is in front. Because God did dust to create man, and he used finished product, which is the rib, the bone, to create women. So we're premium in our nature, and that's why there is complexities, but that's why we have so much strength. But it was important that the balance of the woman was there, and it's important that the man is in the child's life. The importance is equal.
Okay, now
I don't think that there is a specific
one role more
right now. I
important.
don't think there's one role more important, but it's important that both are equally present in the development of the child.
Yeah, so sorry to almost cut you off.
Yeah, it's
but
okay.
I do have like a question. Now I think we're also speaking about this earlier, the three of us. For now I hear you and I concur. I stand with that. But in a situation whereby you give birth to a girl, now you have two girls. Situation whereby maybe she comes when she's about 5-year-old or 7-year-old, and she's like, I think I want to be a boy.
I really want to be part of this conversation. Angel will drag me like small Jane.
What are you saying?
What will you do?
Gender
That's why I said.
pronouns.
So I didn't call the alphabet community, but I knew that
You don't want to say their name?
I didn't want to say it. That's why I said don't come for me. But I know that the alphabet community have their opinions about dad moms. They feel like it's okay to have moms and dads.
Everybody is different.
To each his own.
To each his own, and nobody is superimposing anything. But I believe in the balance of life. I believe that God created man, woman, for a reason. And I have noticed, and according to statistics, those that a grounded man married to a grounded woman always raise an emotionally balanced child that eventually becomes a blessing to society, right?
Yeah.
Then when you become a teenager, you start to have opinions about life. You start to have choices, and then you can choose to now want to either become a mess of yourself or to become a blessing to society. If my child tells me, Mom, I want to become a boy, I would ask questions and I would reorient and educate and still tell the child to decide why I go on my knees and tell my Father in heaven to fix his mind. That is what I shall do.
Yeah.
I love that answer rather than,
I will
being
educate. I will say,
forceful.
look,
Yeah.
baby, biologically, I will show my own and show the girls' own. Look, we have the same thing. Daddy's own is different. I'm going to open a book. I won't go bring a naked man and show her, but I will show her this is what boys have that makes them boys. This is what girls have that makes them girls. And according to history and according to creation, God create woman this way and man this way. But if something within you feels like you're masculine, we're going to talk to Jesus about it and fix it, okay? But right now, I'm just going to pray with you and tell you that I don't think that mindset is correct. But we're going to talk to Jesus while you also decide. But this is what is going on. Do you still think you're a boy? Even though you're feeling like it. Maybe it's just a phase. We'll watch it and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Give her a choice, educate her, and pray and fast and talk to
Because
my
another
Father.
thing is that like so many people, they're such believers, like, right? They're believers in, I'm also a Christian. God's will is always going to be done. So instead of being so cutthroat and all up in like forceful with a child and traumatizing a child, like, no, don't feel this way, shaking them and isolating them and making them feel ashamed of themselves. Like you said, educate and go back to your maker, the one that you want
Sent
to
the child to me. I did not ask it.
So what
Ask
would you
God
say
for it.
about what
I'll
about
go
the
back to
children
him.
that are not trying to like, let's say, change their gender, like gender
Personally,
reassignment, but they want to dress feminine,
I want to.
The boys that want to dress
and
feminine.
the girls that want to dress masculine, they're not trying to change their gender. What would you say about that? Like, how would you
Something
address that?
inspired it. Something influenced it. So
Yeah.
we'll get to the root of it and we'll ask questions. See, everything is... I
Everything
believe
is
in
influenced by
is
something.
orientation.
Yeah, but would you like allow that regardless? Like, would you be okay with them just wearing whatever
People call
they
it
wanted?
cross-dressing.
Yeah.
Some people
If my
call
child
it.
wakes up and says, Mom... So the thing is, because of how I know my parenting would evolve
Yeah.
and how I'm projecting that I would be as a parent,
Yeah.
it will take my child a lot to get to that place. But God forbid,
Yeah.
I have to deal with that situation. I would always ask questions. At
First.
least before the child gets to the point where he wants to start making strong decisions like that. Where did you get the money to buy the clothes that you want to be wearing first now? What is going on? Because I know it will take a lot. Maybe they will be hiding it first, But then if I eventually... It's not as if you will not do it in my house first because I won't create the atmosphere for that. Except Jesus has stopped existing in my life. You understand? But if it ever has to happen, I would want to understand where it came from. I would really want
rather
to
than
know.
just like
No, I'm not
outcasting
gonna
the
ever
child.
see. Already, I've started doing it. I have a principle. Baby, I would love you no matter what. I'm
That's so
that
nice.
parent.
That's so.
Like I tell her, I say, Zen, Maya, I love you no matter what. Like my kids now know. The moment they feel like they see their nanny, Auntie Peace, I love you. So they already just know that anyone who shows they are familiar with kindness. They're familiar with certain things. So it will break my heart because I know that's not what I want for my child. But I will want to understand.
Oh my God. You
And
know what I
accept
just thought
them
about?
regardless.
How many,
yeah.
like, like how we're also brought up differently, right? How many children or how many of us can actually tell our parents, I love you?
Oh my God,
Oh,
that
I
is so
do.
true.
Like,
The
I love
first
you.
time I ever tried to tell my mom, I love you. I just ended calling me because it was so awkward.
Yeah.
We
Oh
didn't
my
grow up in that
God.
type of
And
it
apparently
makes
a lot of
me
Nigerian
weird
homes are
around.
like it's weird to say I
Showing
love you to your
affection now is
mom
so weird. Like I'm so
or your
scared of
dad.
things like
Oh,
touch
girl, I'm
because
gonna
growing
hug
up,
you very soon.
That was so
but actually,
That was
yes,
real.
but like I actually feel
Maliya,
uncomfortable.
come give me
no,
a
no,
hug.
no. I'm serious. Like it's not
I
like
will
I'm saying
choke
it
you
like
with
I'm
love.
I'm not
You
that
triggered the inner
stressed
mother
out
in
about
her.
it.
I can relate to
But
that
I'm aware
too.
that the root of it is
Kind of.
because we didn't grow up practicing those
Yeah.
Oh, my
things.
mom
So now
did
it's
that for
awkward.
us. My
We're
mom,
very, very
my mom
affectionate
was
people.
very sweet.
I think it was just
She
instilled
was
in them
as
to like
mean
you
as
always
she
have
was
to be
sweet.
strong and
My
you always
mom
have
was
it makes it-
100.
That's very.
Hugs
She was
and, like,
100. Like
kisses and-
when she's, you
No,
will
what
question.
about your dad?
Well, how about your
Was your
dad?
dad like
Yeah,
that?
was your
So
dad
my
like
dad
that?
was not like that until
Yeah.
recently.
And do you know the
My
problem
dad
with
was
that?
the strict one, but then I knew that once my dad comes to the
My
house.
mom gave us
Did you guys watch
hugs, but
Sound
it
of
was
Music?
awkward at some point.
Yeah,
Did you guys watch Sound of Music?
I
The
did.
moment
Sound
their
of
father
Music.
enters,
How
Everybody
they
runs.
get-
that was my house.
That was my house too.
That was my house.
That was my house.
Your dad is back. Your dad is back.
So it's not like he's present but he's absent because you don't have a connection to him because of this fear somehow. I don't know how to
But then
explain.
my
I mean,
dad
I didn't grow
was-
up with their father. I can't relate, but
Yeah.
carry on.
But he was fun at the same time. So we knew when daddy is playing, he's playing. But then we were
It sounds like
cautious.
such a balanced household.
But my mom, they're divorced now though. That's the crazy part. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
really?
brutal.
Glorifying this household.
Yeah, but
But
it
doesn't
was
mean they didn't
balanced.
raise
Oh
amazing
no, they
children.
what?
Yeah.
My
Evidently.
mom was
Yeah.
Mama, shout out to you. You did good because
Oh.
she was really balanced. Because my mom
Mhm.
was fun. She would play with us. We would fall on the floor. We'll laugh. And she
Oh.
was loving. She would say, I love you. She did the kisses, the pecks. She did all of that warm, fuzzy, gooey stuff. So I love to touch.
Even
I love
as
to hug.
teenagers.
Yes.
Doesn't stop us.
Yeah, because it was only when we were teenagers it started becoming weird. Like
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Delta,
Where?
Asaba.
My mom is from Asaba.
Wow, crazy.
Now I understand. Their hearts are made of steel.
They will feed on it. I know. They will feed
My
on it.
mom's family, last I said, when she's tough, she's tough.
Yeah.
When she's sweet, she's a perfect 100. Very strong. And then Ogun State is my father.
Because I
Yoruba
like,
men,
you
very
actually
strict.
rarely
Combination.
see that. You rarely see that where like a guy, like a man can tell his dad, "Oh, I love you." At the end of the conversation, just like it sounds weird now.
unfortunate.
Just
That's so
like,
sad.
I don't know.
I always tell people this. Yes, I'm a feminist. I always tell people this that like feminism benefits everybody because patriarchy and living in like a patriarchal society teaches men that they have to be this tough macho and then you realize that you just grow up feeling unsatisfied, not being able to be vulnerable. You grow up feeling like not complete, right?
It's so
just
sad.
unsubscribe to this way of life that doesn't
Men
benefit
should be
and
feminists.
men should be feminists. Men should be able
To be
come for me.
vulnerable and be okay with
Yes,
it. There is nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
being
There
able
is
to
nothing
tell
wrong
someone
with
else you
being
love them is
vulnerable
a
and
beautiful
emotional.
thing. Being able to sit like see eye to eye, connect
But
over
it's so
emotions.
hard, and it's supposed to be easier when
It's
when
so
it's your
scary
family.
thing.
It's
In
like it's supposed
fact,
to be easier to tell your dad, "Oh, I love you," or tell your mom, "Oh, I love you."
And
but
you
it's
should be able to embrace like physically, emotionally.
yeah.
Yeah.
men, turns that camera to my face. Brother, it's okay to be in touch with your emotions. Nothing is wrong with you. Like, it's actually absolutely okay to be vulnerable with. I know with other guys, it's especially those whose gaydars are really up. They feel like it's weird
This
saying
hyper
bro. Just
masculinity, I don't get
yeah.
it, but okay.
It's okay to be vulnerable. If you're in love with somebody, a woman, whoever your significant other is, it's okay to break down and cry and not. Another thing is that they tend to be scared that the women will take advantage
And you
of
know, there's this
them.
other
That was it.
I
That was
said
like,
that.
I got that response often that we
Yeah.
can't be vocal, we can't be vulnerable because they will use it against you. Why do you have calm down, bro. Why do you have your guard up so high? Like,
Well, unfortunately, we also need to talk to the ladies. So also
Yes, I was
not
about to say that too.
May I? Women that we pour our hearts out every day, are we not scared that they will take advantage of us and we do that?
No.
They're going to be
Lydia,
bad
it's
people
very-
out
no,
there.
it's
a bit
it's
different
very-
for them.
I'm sorry, love, but you need
it's
to
very
speak
different
for
for them.
yourself. Speak for yourself. You are that kind of woman who
I
will pour
am.
out your heart
I am.
and be vulnerable any day and hope that the person will not use it against you. But there are some immature women
Yeah,
who
it's not
would
even-
emasculate
Bam, it's
men
not even
because
about that. Do you know
no,
why?
my darling, there are actually
No,
some
I
people
feel
who are
you're
different.
right.
So
Who
just
would
like those women
emasculate
that
a
hit
man
men because they know that he can't hit
he
back.
cannot hit back.
Yeah,
Okay,
women
so
like that.
women, we need to check ourselves, and I will.
That's what
I
I'm
will-
saying.
Because like sometimes, even this thing that we're saying, there's sometimes that if a man is crying, like now, for instance, if a man is crying to you, be like, why is this one crying? to me
Get
like
up!
this?"
Exactly. Like, we need to stop
it.
shaming men for
Because,
crying.
so that's why when we tell men, oh, you have to
Well,
be
I'm
vulnerable.
sorry, I
you
just
have
didn't
to be-
realize that happened because I would never do that.
Because when we tell men, oh, you have to be
Exactly, that's why
vulnerable,
whenever
or you
you-
have to open up to me, you have to pour your shoulder on me. Sometimes we'll see the same ones that will say, why is someone crying in my face? Stop
Yeah,
crying.
why is
Why
crying?
crying?
I have a
You understand?
female
So
friend
where
who-
do we have the balance? Like,
Look
do you
at someone
understand?
like her now. She can't relate. She's not used to mushy. A guy come and is crying like, guy, stop.
Yeah, I would be overwhelmed, but at the same time, it's not judgmental.
So you won't be
Yeah.
judgmental, but because it's not familiar territory to you. So these are the kind of conversations you should have. Like I was trying to correct you earlier. When you're giving opinions, it's important to speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Your convictions, what you can vouch for and defend. If your opinions are biased, like, oh no, but women it's not all women that pour out their hearts. Some women are actors. They use it as weapons, as manipulating tools. I know that if I do like this, the man
But
will now
it's
do
It's
like
really
this.
all part of
So,
like
It's
some
really
issues,
sad though, but like I
Yes,
just
the
have to come
trauma
out.
inspired
because you see
killings
some
that we are
women-
talking about
you know, some women
earlier.
will even be like, they'll use it against you. What she said is right.
I saw it
And
on
then they'll
Twitter,
say,
because
oh,
when
was
I
it not this one
tweeted
that was
about-
crying to me? Was it not this one?
Eh.
He was just pouring out
Funny
his
enough,
heart.
let me make the
Even when they
correction.
confess their
when
love,
I
they take
put it on
advantage of
Twitter,
that,
like I can't remember what I was talking about, but I just said that like how everybody needs to be vulnerable, and one guy really said that vulnerable to a woman, they will use it against you, and I
It's
was like, this
experience
is
that
crazy.
influences
Why
that.
would this person say that you?
Yeah.
But now hearing from you guys,
Don't you
it's really, really
don't you see those
unfortunate.
voice notes sometimes on TikTok of a boy telling a girl how much he likes her, and then they're laughing at him in the comments. They even make fun of them when they open up about love too,
This is
not
a
just
problem.
sadness.
So the thing is that women, we want to shame men for.
But imagine
being-
point out your heart to a woman on voice note and you see on TikTok.
Exactly.
I'll actually
What
jump
would
on
that
like
do
you
to a
guys.
person?
I'll actually jump
I never
on.
find
I
those
don't know
things
guys
funny.
are seeing it, so
I
it's
never
called
find those
It's
things
not
funny.
good. It's actually
I
not
never
good.
find
If
them
you're a
funny.
woman and you're taking advantage of a man,
Because if it was a
that
woman
is
on that voice
open,
note, the reactions would be
yes.
different. They'll be like,
What
oh
are
my
you
god,
sticking
how
up
could
for
you?
men?
They will say women are emotional. Women are the emotional ones. Men are
Yeah.
tough. Is these men are tough, men are tough that you're having billionaire men shooting themselves and oh God, when I
Doing all
hear
sorts.
men, supposedly accomplished men committing suicide, that is deep. That is deeply rooted. Like
Because it's
men, y'all need to start catering to yourselves.
your
I don't
emotional
know.
needs.
I know I have done a survey. Generally, men they don't even want to hear therapy. They don't want to hear
That's what I was saying
counseling.
earlier.
They don't want to
Because when
hear
it's a level
all
of
these
vulnerability.
When you
things.
say, oh, I'm going for therapy, some people will be like,
There's
why is he going
stigma
for
also
therapy?
attached to it.
Yes.
Like, are you crazy?
Yes.
They'll
like,
either
I
say
am.
something is wrong
It's
with you.
wrong
It
with
doesn't.
you.
That's not how it
Yeah.
works.
And then there's something
It's
wrong with
either-
all of us.
Yeah, it's either we need to start having more male therapists, right? I don't
They
know of
exist.
any. That's a good
They
question. I
exist.
don't know of any. I know more female therapists because women are a bit more
Welcoming.
warm and all of that. There are probably male psychologists because it's a more
But
broad.
you know what's crazy?
Yeah.
Even if there's so many male therapists, how many
Imagine.
men would want to go and see a male therapist?
therapist.
Especially Nigerian men.
So how we really need to figure out how to create a safe
you know, sorry,
space for men.
may I? I feel like before you get to a point where you're advising a man, I feel like you know how I was telling you about socialization? There's two. There's primary, there's secondary. I feel like the first step in creating men that are not driven by hyper masculinity and all of that is just having hyper masculinity is feeling the need to be macho in
All the
plain terms
time.
all the times, because you feel like you have to live up to this expectation,
Yeah.
right? You need to be this hyper masculine version of yourself to fulfill status quo, basically. So I feel like having good examples around them. That's why I always feel like it is important to like have, as a boy, have positive male figures around you that are expressive and are compassionate and are empathetic. And like that goes a long way. Just like a little boy seeing that he might not even need therapy because he has good examples in that teaching him these things.
Valid point. Look, we really need to start as women who have men in our lives. You never know, because the DJ Switch situation broke me. If truly he killed himself, I was really hurt by that, because
Yeah.
on the outlook, his life seemed perfect. It seemed like he had everything going for him. But you never know. And then the other South African artist, not the recent one, some months ago.
I think with last year, the family
Yeah,
guy.
the family guy, his family, everything seemed perfect, but he was spiraling. He was going through depression. And because you don't know how you as a woman tend to make everything about yourself, and then you forget that the men have needs too. And the needs is not really, so because maybe if we really start to categorize what needs are, yeah, maybe you're giving him sex, you're giving him food, you're supporting his career. But how are you protecting his mind? How are you
also
protecting?
emotionally available?
Are you also emotionally available? Or when he starts to talk about his needs, you start to make it about you. Me too. You've not done this, you've not done that. And then he's feeling the need to overcompensate so that you don't feel like there is something missing.
Yeah.
And then he now ignores his own needs, because he too, there is the mindset, I'm a man, I just had to suck it up. I'm a man, I have to suck it up. And over time, we destroy these men if we're not careful. So we need to grow up as women, right?
That's crazy.
Kind of words, kind of actions, generally.
Bring them closer. Just give them a big hug.
You can cry on my shoulder. Lean on me, no be press me down.
like
Please stop
Apostle,
making these men feel somehow. Now I feel
Yeah.
like Apostle Tomi Orion, his wife, was telling me the other day when we were chatting, and she said, sometimes you just need to show them what you want them to do for you. There is telling all the time, telling. Then how about you do what you want them to do for you? And it then says what the Bible says. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Hallelujah.
Do unto others what you want done to you,
Yeah.
right? So if you want something from a man, do it for him and to him, and not constantly expect, because we've become a needy female society. Sometimes we tend to really make everything about us. And think about it, so many Mother's Day, so many celebration, women. Even the celebrations in the world don't really favor the male folk, right? So it has conditioned us to make it more about us than them. So we really need to
Balance.
balance it.
All in all, I really feel like this was a very impactful episode. I'm so happy that we have such an inspiring guest, Thank you for sharing and being so like unfiltered about your experiences. We really appreciate you being here. Also, we want to thank everybody once again for watching our last episode. We hope you enjoyed this one. And let's us also encourage you, as the upcoming elections are fast approaching, to go out there and participate politically, do your part, and not just complain. Thank you once again, guys.
Thank you.
And don't forget to follow the RBC pod. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you for having me, ladies.